Today, you're going to tell us about Andy Burnham, who's like now the most popular influencer on social media, and also a prime minister as a side hustle.
We've chatted about politicians and their social media posting before, but now feels like a pretty opportune moment to discuss the new Prime Minister of the UK, Andy Burnham, and his social media strategy, which seems to be subverting the cringe posting that we chatted about when it came to Starmer and the stuff that was going down a bit like a lead balloon on social media.
Do we think that he is actually good at social media, or do we think that the media think he's good at social media, and are we the media and do we think that?
Well, I do sort of think that the media hyping up how he is, authentic and fairly good at posting online has contributed to the perception that he's very, very good at posting online. A bit like when we've discussed phantom trends before, where almost the reaction to the content is almost like it's going to be good because everyone's saying it's good, so therefore we all think it's good. Obviously, often it can be the opposite, which is if the media say something's good, people think it's extra cringe because they're like, oh, well, if the media think that this is like fun and cool and quirky, that means it's actually kind of lame.
The change is I would suggest anyone look at the comments on his TikTok and Instagram and look at the comments on Labour and Keir Starmer before. They used to get such hate, like terrible stuff in the comments.
Yeah, well, I actually was really intrigued by this because I was looking at some of the videos. So there was a video that Andy Burnham posted last night about football and talking about reported plans by FIFA to like sell stakes in the World Cup, basically. And lots of people were outraged, including Andy Burnham. He posted a video and I ran to the comments.
Clever.
I ran to the comments because I was like, I really wonder whether people are liking this or not. Because some of his content so far, for example, people might have seen where he was trying out and rating different pub snacks with his new Chancellor of the Exchequer.
Do people eat crisp butties in Harlow, do you think? Is it a northern thing?
I think they would.
Yeah, they would.
Yeah.
No. I probably thought they would.
Yeah, so it'll be 2 for me.
Well, I'm going 1. They're great, aren't they? I do have a thing for a pickled onion monster lunch. Yeah, I know.
That went down really well because it felt it related to a policy that he's introducing around pubs and venues and everything else, and people seem to respond quite well. But I thought, I wonder how people will have responded to this video because he's not really doing anything. He's just giving his opinion about it. And in the comments, there were so many people being like, I love this. I really like this new guy.
Yeah, it's working. And it's crazy how little it takes. You need to be able to speak human being. And he actually likes the Stone Roses and Oasis, probably. He actually has tasted Twiglets. And it's not that much different from what Keir Starmer's doing. He's just a little bit more human.
It's the authenticity, which we talk about loads on social media because it performs so well. And I think that one of the things that Andy Burnham seems to have cracked, at least for now, is that there doesn't feel like there's a gap between who he is and the content that he's posting. The problem with Starmer was that who he seemed to be, like when he was talking publicly or to world leaders or whatever, was at odds with this kind of image presented online. So it felt a bit fake. It didn't feel very authentic and genuine. Whereas Burnham genuinely seems to be like the person who's appearing in the videos. And also, which I think is the real sort of clever tactic here, which is something that people like Donald Trump have been particularly effective at. Actually, I would say Zoran Mamdani as well, the mayor of New York, is that when they experience criticism or stuff that people might actually find cringy and a bit lame, e.g. there's lots of funny videos of people pretending to be Andy Burnham, kind of taking the mix, saying like, I'm so normal, like I love having a cup of tea and I love the North, and like, taking the mick out of Number 10 North, this new initiative that Burnham has announced. And instead saying he's a bit like David Brent from The Office, instead of sort of trying to like counter that, they've really lent into it. So there's this parody video that they released about Number 10 North that's like a parody of The Office essentially, and leaning into the internet chatter about him, which makes it look like he has a bit of a sense of humour. And that's the thing Donald Trump's always been so good at. He also will take the mick out of himself when it comes to his own social media content, right? Where like the White House or he have control over how they're taking the mick out of themselves. Yeah. And that's the way to sort of, in their view, handle criticism, because you're willing to be sort of criticised in ways that are like a bit absurd or funny or weird. He doesn't want to be criticised for things he's actually self-conscious about, like, whether he's powerful or rich or clever or any of those things. And that's kind of the case with this Burnham content, which is Burnham is allowing himself to have the piss taken out of him for things that kind of don't matter, actually.
I was surprised by this because there is a sense in which to be successful in social media and politics, you kind of have to be in opposition to something. You have to be rebellious, loud, angry. So that leaves people who are in the center left or the center right or the center with the difficulty of like, how do I engage when I don't have like the rage? But he's managed to do it because he's unlocked another thing that does well on social media: authentic banality, right? It's like, here's me eating Twiglets, here's me playing Wordle, like here's me drinking a pint. It's just like completely banal stuff.
I am a human being.
I'm a human being, which for some reason has always done well on social media.
And it's not new. So what we do know is that Andy Burnham's comms team, the team around him, appear to be directly trying to work with influencers. And those kinds of people are being invited to Downing Street. They're being included in the sort of wider outreach, I guess, when it comes to the press and influencers.
And a lot of them are teenage girls, right?
Yeah. And people that like almost see politics as like the way you love Justin Bieber. They love politics.
It's funny you say that, because I was thinking about how Andy Burnham has done it. He's got like older men, right? Because it's like he actually likes the Stone Roses, New Order, Joy Division, Oasis. But then he's also got like young women too, because he's doing all the trends and like in a way that, I don't know, seems to work.
Yeah, I think this point is crucial, which is we know that when Keir Starmer was Prime Minister, he also did try to reach out to influencers. Like the team tried to encourage influencers to attend Downing Street or to work with them. The problem is that it just didn't quite seem to work because of Starmer's personality and persona. Whereas if Andy Burnham, for example, goes on like Max Klemenko, who does the whole thing of like, can I guess your job as you climb up the ladder type thing. When he goes on it, he does seem like likable and normal. And so you actually enjoy consuming and watching that content. I think that the stroke of genius here, perhaps, and we're saying all this, by the way, we're like very early days into Andy Burnham. We could quite easily be doing an episode in 2 months' time and everyone hates him again.
Yeah.
like that is often the way with politics. But he seems to have got a woman called Abby Tomlinson involved in his social media strategy, working for his team, who is known as the sort of person who established the Miller fandom, which was when Ed Miliband became like a real kind of icon of the internet.
That
ages ago.
is an accomplishment.
Yeah, but that's
to make Ed Miliband popular on TikTok.
Well, they made him sort of lovable for all the reasons that you might find him a bit quirky or bizarre. The way that she has built up this social media expertise is because she herself was like participating in that fandom. It is what Donald Trump has done incredibly effectively with MAGA influencers. He's like fed the fandom. He like reposts some of the content from the fandom. Let me engage with the fandom.
And there's also a sense it's like, because it seems so like TikTok literate, it's like cringe if I somehow disagree with his politics. Like, oh, what if I disagree with his tax plan? It's like cringe, like I'm screaming, like, and you kind of feel lame.
We've got to the point where a lot of it is about vibes. Like it's not actually about the policy. It's about like the feeling you get, the impression you get of the person, and therefore what you believe about like their intention and how they're going to be and what they're going to do. Also, when it comes to policy, if you are introducing policies like the kinds of ones we've seen Andy Burnham talking about, like £2 bus fares, stuff around pubs, VAT on energy bills, that kind of stuff. It's stuff that is quite easy for all of us to understand. Like we understand what it is and how it could positively impact us or other households. It's not like super high level like diplomacy or like wider policy things, which actually broadly could improve people's lives, but we can't like see the direct correlation between our lives and the policy. That kind of stuff does not do well on social media. Like this is more of a populist approach. Like they choose policies where you can be like, oh, okay, that makes my life better. So when you see a video about it, you're like, oh yeah, cool.
I mean, is the direction of travel for political press moving away from the traditional press pools, doing what like the White House does, where it has influencer press conferences, and now Burnham has invited influencers to Downing Street, right?
Yeah, I think one of the problematic things though about the way that politics now intersect social media is that they don't necessarily have to experience accountability and scrutiny in the same way that they did before. And that's not to say like Andy Burnham, for example, did an interview with Laura Kuenssberg at the BBC. He's, answered questions. It's not like he's shying away from speaking to people, but you are able to create a perception of yourself through the social media content, which almost eclipses the answers you're giving to journalists.
Yeah, because of course the criticism, as you're saying, is it's basically going for softball interviews, right? It's like Kamala Harris going on Call Her Daddy, or Trump going on Theo Vaughn, or Aiden Ross, and now you've got
It's lots of exposure. The questions aren't that difficult.
Yeah, or it's literally just like it's not hard to like pick whether you prefer Twiglets or crisps, rather than go on like Jeremy Paxman.
I mean, politicians still do interviews with the media because they see that scrutiny and accountability is something that I think the public are still receptive to and expect you to participate. But as time goes on, I mean, you wonder whether even in 10 years' time, like, will there be a world where a politician who becomes prime minister or president, like, never has to answer a difficult question again and can just, like, chat to the influencers and podcasters and streamers and people they like, and that's kind of it?
Yeah. It's like some huge scandal happens and they're like, sorry, did you see my video about me doing Wordle?
Yeah.
Like,
obviously, you can understand why strategists and politicians and prime ministers or presidents want to have positive relationships with these influencers, to perhaps encourage them to post about them, to reward the kind of content that they post about them. The difficulty is when it comes to actual political advertising on social media, broadly across all of the main sites, it has to be labelled as really clearly like, this is been paid for by the Labour Party or whoever it might be. With this kind of content, it's a little bit murkier, right? Like, I'm not suggesting that money has exchanged hands. In lots of these cases, we're seeing influencers just being kind of like invited or included or encouraged. And it's not like they're necessarily benefiting from it financially. But obviously, if you are like, encouraged to attend somewhere and you're probably seeing the good bits of like that government or those politicians, it is objectively cool to like get to go to Downing Street, meet Larry the cat, hang out, whatever. You are kind of benefiting from, like, it's very unlikely you're then going to go.
It's a collab.
Yeah, you're not then going to go and post and be like,
Minister.
I hate the Prime Minister and I hate Downing Street and I hate Larry the cat. The people who are seeing that content don't necessarily know that you behind the scenes are developing an actual in-person relationship with the Prime Minister themselves.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's that very like fine line between content being like sponsored or collab or endorsed versus if people are actually just making it off their own back.
Do you think Burnham was he like, did he hold a conference? He was like, find me the coolest teenagers on TikTok now. And his team procured them.
I think, I imagine, but this is me just speculating, I imagine that it's more so the case that if you've got someone like Abby Tomlinson who is very good at understanding like how to build a fandom, that she'd identify the TikTok accounts that are going to enable you to create that vibe and build that fandom up.
They've got to be a bit careful though, because you could see it becoming like a bit too saccharine, a bit too much, and a bit too like, okay, we get it.
Well, that
like,
was Kamala Harris,
stop
right?
Doing the TikTok.
This is what happened with Kamala Harris, because Kamala Harris, went all like Brat Summer, and at first you were like, oh, maybe this is going to work for her, but then actually it was too policy light.
Yeah.
And it was only vibes, and that only vibes is not good. You kind of need a bit of vibes and a bit of policy that people understand.